Hey guys, welcome in. It's Mr. Gooby. Right now I am currently working on my cave base. I'm just gonna be building these like structural support pillars, kind of just for looks. In the video, we're gonna be reading some pretty scary stories. I will say the third one is pretty freaking terrifying. So stick around for that one. Grab some snacks, sit back and relax. Let's get straight into it. Alright, this is going to be story one. My coworker keeps dying. I work a pretty dangerous job. Without proper training, things can go south fast. Me and all my coworkers are constantly around heavy machinery and industrial equipment, and I think we all know how to avoid an accident to the best of our abilities. That doesn't mean that they don't happen, though I've had friends lose everything from fingers all the way down to entire legs just from being careless. Usually, when this happens, there's a big uproar amongst the higher ups. All the paperwork, the coworkers comp, it all becomes a big hassle. I guess that's why they brought in this new guy. He just sort of showed up one day. Nobody trained him. He never even shadowed anybody. He just came in, got to work. Honestly, I don't even think anyone knew his name. All we knew him as was the new guy. He didn't have any defining traits, no tattoos, no facial hair, nothing. Hell, he didn't even have hair. He was a full-on cue ball who just hopped on the line one day. There was one thing that made him stand out though, and that was his uniform. His shirt was bright red, whereas me and my coworkers had to wear black. It didn't have the company name on it either. Instead, written in bold white letters was the phrase, "The new guy," like it was a badge of honor. He was a hard worker for the first week. His efficiency seemed almost computerized in its optimization. He honestly made the rest of us look bad. That until his first accident. We all saw what happened. Hell, I'm still traumatized by it. His hand had gotten stuck in the conveyor belt, and it immediately started to suck him in. He didn't scream. He didn't make a sound. He just kept on getting pulled deeper and deeper, while his skin tore and blood sprayed from his wounds like a faucet. His face was as calm as it could be. He didn't ask for help. He didn't even try to free himself. He just let it happen until someone finally hit the emergency stop button. But by that point, we could see just how mangled he really was. Corporate cleared the scene immediately. They forced everyone to go home early with a day of no pay. We were all pissed, but I think we were more shaken than anything. The next day, there he was again, without so much as a scratch, stacking bird baths onto a wooden pallet. I stood frozen. I nearly dropped the bird bath I was holding. The coworker glanced over at me and nodded before returning to his work. Blood. The conveyor belt. The sound of the bones snapping inside the machine. We had all seen that, but everyone acted like they didn't remember. I tried to talk to the other coworkers about how insane this really was, but everyone just looked at me like I was the crazy one. In the weeks that followed, the new coworker had come back full swing. He became the top performer at the company, seemingly overnight. I was honestly in fear for my job because it seemed like he was doing the work of 10 men at once. Then it happened again. Another accident. He worked through lunch this time, so nobody was around to see what had happened. We just came back and found him crushed underneath a pile of bird baths. Blood pooled underneath the rubble. His entire body had been covered. The only thing that remained visible was his head and those calm, still blinking eyes that scanned the room while more and more people gathered around. Much like the first time, corporate made everyone go home early again. We came back the next day and boom, there he was again, working as though nothing happened. There were 3 more accidents after that. Some were due to technical problems with the machinery, some were due to what seemed to be full-blown ignorance. But with each accident, the next ones became few and far between. It was like he was learning. Once he became fully optimized, he had gone a while without incident. The company started letting people go. I watched coworkers who had been with the company for 10 plus years walk out the door with their last check in hand and tears flowing down their faces. Every day started to feel like my last, but somehow I made it through the initial waves of layoff. I knew my security wouldn't last long. The new guy was carrying the company on his back. but I still had hope things would work out. Unfortunately, all those hopes were dashed when I came to work yesterday. I saw someone I didn't recognize. No defining features, no tattoos, no hair on his head or face. The only thing that made this guy stand out was the bright green shirt he wore, with the phrase, "the new guy," written across it in bold white letters. Damn, that was an interesting story. I will say that would suck. Brutal, brutal deaths, though, I will say. Getting crushed by a giant pallet. God, that must have sucked. And the conveyor belt one, too. Oh, that was disgusting. Oh, alright. Let's get on to story 2. I'm a night surgeon. Sometimes I put the organs in. The thing I hate most about blood, how hard it sticks to everything. Everyone knows the basics, right? Red blood on a white shirt. God help you get that out. Same with carpet or any other fabric. Metal will rust like crazy. It's why I hate this job sometimes. Well, most of the time. But all the others were moral issues. People with money aren't going to sit around for an organ. If you have the money and no one seems to match, we will find one. Why not Rick? Which leads to my job. I'm a night surgeon. Sometimes I get to put those organs in. Showered in praise and condolences after I do. Other times, I help repossess them. Granted, it isn't like I'm a repo guy. I just take them out before the body is cold in the chop shop. Granted, Grant is repo. Nowhere near my department. Fucking ghoul. Either way, it's not like it's what we want to do first. We try late fees and liens, hard selling some courts, but most clients agree it's better than Grant. Now, I will admit there is some stuff that might be considered toward my end. I can use paralytic, but most angelics will damage the product. That and usually other organs are collateral. Fine print stuff. You understand. Fuck. Grant just dragged in another one. Butcher, how the hell am I supposed to get something usable out of that? Only excuse he gave was, she kept trying to crawl away. If I had it my way, then he would just be a serial killer. At least he can work on something constructive, I guess. One more personal annoyance. Could someone give Grant a note to use a bag when moving product? Took 3 hours of scrubbing after to get the sweep back in operation. How would I explain to my next client that it wasn't me? I don't botch my work. I am a damn good surgeon. Also, can Grant wipe his shoes before coming in? Mud of the hallway also isn't a good look. Mr. Primrose is pleased with the results. I can still see the scene. It's like a 3-year-old complimenting Picasso on a doodle. I will have to see if I can get better sutures, something that won't feel so fragile when I operate. This was, however, my first augmentation instead of standard replacement. The client should be more than happy with his, how did he phrase it, dessert stomach? His gluttony is gross. But he is the first client I have met that has paid for his piece in full. We may even let him keep it after death. How selfish. But the customer is right. How dare he? Some of my finest work and he checks bounced? It is the first time I've ever reached out to Grant personally. Though I will have to go with him. I need the organs back in good repair. And the only good ones in Mr. Primrose were the ones we so generously provided. Only problem with this one is Grant has cleavers. I guess I will have to show him what it truly means to be a night surgeon. Perhaps I was too hard on Grant. He seems actually quite intrigued with my work, particularly when I had taken the stomach and heart back within 4 minutes of paralyzing the client. Maybe I should remember my youth, working for OPS before they had paid my medical school, although I was still leagues ahead of him. He could in time make a fine surgeon. I was not expecting that. That's a good story. I like that. Very unfortunate for Mr. Primrose. He guess he should have paid in full next time, right? Oh god. Alright, this is going to be story 3. The crawl space under Nana's house. My Nana lived alone in a farmhouse deep in rural Maine. No neighbors for miles. Just woods, a dirt road, and an old house that seemed to groan even without the wind. It was her homestead, her happy place. I stayed there for a week every summer. The first night I woke up around 2:30 a.m. because I heard someone walking downstairs. Not unusual, I thought maybe Nana couldn't sleep. The footsteps continued for almost an hour. Slow, steady, back and forth across the kitchen floor. The next morning I mentioned it. Nana stopped buttering her biscuit and looked at me strangely. "Sweetheart," she said, "I take sleeping pills. I was asleep all night." I laughed it off. Then she asked me something that made my stomach drop. "Did it sound like shoes?" I nodded. She went pale. Apparently, my papa used to pace the kitchen every night before bed. There was never a reason, just a habit. He died 4 years earlier. I figured my Nana was just an old woman connecting unrelated things. Then the third night happened. I woke up to scratching. Not downstairs, inside my bedroom wall. It sounded like fingernails dragging slowly through wood. I turned on my flashlight and listened, then 3 knocks came from inside the wall. Knock, knock, knock. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, I checked outside. There was no tree branch touching the house. No animals. Nothing. That afternoon, while helping Nana clean the basement, I noticed a small wood door tucked behind the shelves. A crawl space, maybe 3 feet tall, with a hanging padlock that was rusted shut. "What's in there?" I asked. My Nana looked genuinely disturbed. "Nothing," she replied. "Then why is it locked?" She didn't answer. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Around midnight, I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and went downstairs. The basement air smelled like mildew and dirt. I found the crawl space door. Nana had tried to push the cells back in front of it, but I easily pushed it out of the way and finally got a good look at it. The padlock was ancient, but something was wrong. The lock was hanging open. I could have sworn it was rusted shut earlier. I remember because I had tried tugging on it. Now the door was slightly ajar. A black cat stared back at me. I should have gone back upstairs. I should have crawled into bed, put on Adventure Time, and went to sleep. Instead, I opened it. The smell that seeped out was horrific. Rot, wet earth, something sour. I shined my phone flashlight in. The crawl space stretched beneath the house. Dirt floor, stone supports, darkness. At first, I didn't see anything. Then my flashlight landed on something in the corner. A chair. Just a wooden chair facing the wall. I remember feeling something. I remember feeling irrational fear. It was like someone had left it there intentionally. I turned my head to the left. I heard movement. A soft scrape somewhere deep in the darkness. I froze, my hands trembling slightly. Hello? I called out. I wasn't sure why I did, because either way, I would be scared. But if I heard a reply, I'd be terrified. The movement stopped. Silence. Then something answered. Not a voice, a breath. Long, slow, right beside my ear. I swung my flashlight. Nothing. The whole crawl space was empty. I slammed the door shut. I slammed the door shut and ran up the stairs as if my life depended on my speed. I couldn't even tell you how fast I made it back to my bed, under the covers immediately, and began watching Adventure Time to distract me. I didn't sleep at all. The next morning, I told Nana everything. She stared at me for a long time. Then she finally told me why the crawl space was locked. Years before I was born, she used to hear something moving beneath the house every night. Scratching, crawling, breathing. My papa assumed it was an animal. One night he went down there with a shotgun and came back 10 minutes later with white as a sheet. He immediately nailed the crawlspace shut and locked it with a heavy-duty padlock. When she asked what he had seen, he refused to answer. For the rest of his life, he would only tell her, "It wasn't an animal." A few months later, he suffered a heart attack. He never explained further. I was running on a 2-hour nap I took in the middle of the day while my Nana sat on the couch sewing a kitchen towel for her friend. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the chair, about the breathing, about what Papa had seen. Around 3 a.m., I heard footsteps in the kitchen, walking across the kitchen, slow, steady, back and forth. I pulled my blanket over my head and turned up the volume on my TV show on my phone. Then the footsteps stopped. I listened. Nothing. Then came 3 knocks. Knock, knock. On my bedroom door, I whispered, "Nana?" No response. Then I heard something that I would never forget. Never. A voice. Very soft, very old, coming from the hallway. "Emma." My blood turned to ice. Nana was the only person in the house. She never called me Emma. Always sweetheart or baby. I didn't move. The voice came again, closer. "Emma." Then from downstairs, I heard my Nana scream. I threw my blankets off the bed and ran out my room. Down the stairs, I found her in the kitchen, standing at the basement door, shaking, crying, pointing. The basement door was open. The light was on, and muddy footprints led from the basement stairs into the kitchen. No shoe prints, not animal tracks, handprints, hundreds of them, littering the tile, as if something had crawled out the crawl space using only its arms. We left the house before sunrise. My Nana moved into assisted living the next year, unable to maintain her homestead. The farmhouse sat abandoned for nearly a decade. Then a contractor bought it, and according to local rumors, he quit the renovation after 3 days. He told people he kept hearing someone moving beneath the floors at night. Last year, curiosity got the best of me. I looked up the property online, up for sale. The listing photos were mostly normal. Kitchen, bedrooms, bathroom, basement. Then I saw the photo of a crawl space. The chair was still there, facing the wall. But that wasn't the thing that made me close my laptop. Someone had zoomed in and actually captured the corner behind the chair. There was a person crouching there. Naked. Pale. Thin enough to see every rib, looking into the camera. The phone was taken in daylight. The realtor later removed the image, but I downloaded it first. I've shown it to a dozen people, telling them what had happened in the house. Every single person noticed the same thing eventually. The thing in the corner isn't looking at the camera. It's looking past it. Like it's watching whoever is viewing the photo. And every time I open the image, I notice something I swear was not there before. The last time I checked, there were muddy handprints on the wall behind the chair. 3 of them. Fresh wet. As if something had just climbed out. Oh my god. I'm not gonna lie. That story actually fucking scared me. Oh, like towards the end, it like had me like looking over my shoulder, and I got goosebumps reading like the last few parts. My lord, that story was terrifying. Alright guys, that is going to be the end of the video. I hope y'all enjoyed the stories and the video so far. If y'all have any comments or suggestions on what I should do next, then let me know. Other than that, stay safe out there, guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.